So, well, thank you so much for your time. And one of the questions that I wanted to pose is why the Latino art has been so apart from Latin American art? Why it has not been considered as a mainstream until very recent times?
I think that if you will, that attitude or approach to U.S. Latino art has a little bit to do with prejudices that the art historical and the art ambience have, that are endemic to them. That is, that they see that art as maybe a stepson, a stepdaughter of, in the case of Chicano art, of Mexican art, or of art of Latin America. That has changed of late, I think, in part due to market, the art market itself, which has begun to see the commodification of U.S. Latino art, and so that's both, I suppose, a good and a bad thing. And also because there's been a great deal of critical writing about U.S. Latino art. This project, of course, is embracing it, and so that will make available documents, letters, writings by artists that were previously not available, and it will give it, if you will, more credibility, more cachet.
Right.
But I think it's that kind of attitude is tied in with a general attitude toward the subaltern communities, where they're not viewed as being on an equal footing,
right.
And yet, of course, they are, and I think that will become more and more understood.
Right. So in that sense, Latino art has received the same treatment or the same, la misma suerte, the same destiny that Latin American art has received. Like, it hasn't been seen as the same level as the worldwide, art. It hasn't been seen as that.
That's right. I think there's a marginalization of American art in general. I mean, if we go back to someone like Jackson Pollock, of course, New York took over from Paris as the center of the art world, and that in part had to do with Jackson Pollock and the action painters, the abstract expressionists. But if you consider that American art itself was marginalized and didn't occupy the center stage until much later than European modernists, then it's not surprising that the art from the South, and then the art from the South as it touches on U.S. Latinos, that they have not received their due, and that it's a slowly emerging phenomenon. So I think it does have to do with internal marginalizations, internal exile, if you will. Judy Baca, the Los Angeles muralist, refers to Chicanos as exiles in their own land, and I think that is simply political, having to do with political awareness, political sensitivity, and to be crass about it now, the markets being very much drawn by, or the markets being cultivated by U.S. Latinos, it makes commercialism work for U.S. Latinos, and whether we like to admit it or not. So there's a contradiction there as well.
Right. And do you really think these archives will help a lot to the Latino and the Chicano art to come out from the margins where it has been developing?
Well, I think the archives will certainly help to an extent, because there are a lot of documents by Chicana and Chicano artists that are being uploaded into the database. and that will excite students who will in turn write about it, and it'll be disseminated. So yes, I think it's reasonable to expect a considerable impact on U.S. Latinos, while it also has a very considerable impact on the different regions of America Latina.
Do we have an archive of only Latino art in the U.S.?
There isn't one sole archive, but archives are being developed at places like Notre Dame, University of Notre Dame. They have an Institute for Latino Studies, and the Institute for Latino Studies has begun to create its own archive. And that's true of some other institutions. And then, in New York, you have an archive that focuses on the art of the Dominican Republic. So slowly and surely, as well as Institute of Puerto Rican Studies. So yes, it's happening far too slowly for those of us who have been looking forward to this day. But I'm more auspicious about it than I used to be.
Okay. And just last question, as you are also a professor of art, and what's for you the relevance, the implications for the art history programs, this launching of the archives?
Okay, and I just want to clarify, I'm a professor emeritus.
Oh, okay.
And I used to be an administrator as well as an associate dean of a college of arts and sciences. I think for art history departments, this is a cornucopia. They send, as Ed Sullivan was pointing out, you send your students to the archives, you send your students to the computer, to the database here, and hopefully that will stimulate both footwork, legwork, and it will stimulate writing. And so it will act both to have people go to the actual archives, but in this case, this archive is available totally online, so it has that tremendous advantage. And it will exist in perpetuity because people can add to it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you.